All right, so it's been a while, and we're going to do a rehab of this Garwood Industries 13-foot dump bed. It's a subframe design. There's a lot of spots that we skipped when we did our red T8 that we did not shoot footage on because we had sold the Ford and we had to get moving. And although we love shooting video, sometimes videos do slow us down a little bit. So there's some spots we skipped. We're going to make sure when we on this white T3 we're building that we cover all those areas so that between both trucks you have a really good process of from shortening to mounting, to installing the PTO, to mounting the bed, etc. Between the red T8 and the white T3, you're going to get a much more rounded picture of the project. So I'm going to show you what we've done to this bed so far, and then the rest of it will be included in this video, and then there'll be a follow-up video with our mounting of the bed, running the wires, etc. So stay tuned, but I'm going to show you what we've done so far. Okay, so this bed is an antique, okay? This bed is Garwood Industries CC2 model. It's a 10-yard bed. And it looks like what's left of the nameplate says Michigan, okay? This is a really, really old bed, and I didn't take that tag off on purpose because I wanted to kind of give it its old name back, okay? But this bed, we took this bed off of a 1960s Ford tandem dump truck that we bought, and then we stripped it off of here. And the floor was completely rotted. I'll see if I can find a couple photos. If a couple of photos pop up, then I did find them. If not, then we'll just kind of keep moving. But this floor was really thin. Look how thin that is. Really, really thin floor. So what I did is I took our plasma cutter and I took an angle iron and I laid angle iron across it. So basically I came in here and I kind of cut squares and I went bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until I found the edges, right, of the cross members. And then when I did that on both ends, I laid a piece of angle iron to use as a guide, okay? And I got that cut off. And I did that for each of these pieces, okay? And then, and I did that with a straight cutting torch. And then in this area of the cross member, right, we had old pieces of floor left, kind of like how this looks here, right? It looks like it's a cut cross member, but it's not. There's floor on this, old floor. And then I took these flush cutting, which shoots the arc flat, see that? And I came up here with the plasma cutter, and I just kind of ran a molt down it. I just kind of ran down it and watched the molt open up to get the floor off. And then with a sledgehammer, because there's not always a better way, with a sledgehammer and a big old crowbar, Isaac and Dalton pulled up all of the old pieces of floor once I had cut as much as I could off. And let me show you what we got for our floor right there that we had the machine shop bend up for us. And Dalton has ran down the whole bottom side of that with where that's going to line up on the sidewall and has grinded us down so that we don't have any problems welding. So wouldn't be able to do anything without them because they have more time into this bed than I do, to where I can just come in, fit it, and weld it. So these are our pre-bent pieces of flooring that we had the machine shop do. It's 1/4-inch thick plate. And they're not perfect. The machine shop warned me that a couple of the bends got a little off, and that's fine. I have a good relationship with that machine shop. So, but I spec'd this out on CAD, so that he would have all the correct angles and when to start the bends and stuff. The top plate is a bad plate, so we're going to put that off to the side. That'll be the one that gives us the most struggle. The other two are going to be really great. So the plan of attack is we're going to overlap the first 4 cross members. Okay, so whatever that measurement is, the middle of the cross member, I'm going to need to zip down the end of this to whatever that is. Okay, because these are 5-foot sheets so that we have the least amount of seams. Some may end up at 50 inches, some may end up at 55 inches, some may end up at 60 inches, depending upon where we fall on the cross members. All right, let's see if we can get that top sheet moved. All right, we'll get that unhooked. Oh, that's so. I see it. Center of the sheet is about right there. All right, so the next thing we've got to figure out is where do we want it in the first sheet. And so I'm going to butt up against this wall and make sure that I'm calculating for the distance of or the depth of the wall. In other words, I don't want to be down in this crevice of the angle iron. I want to be right where we're going to butt up. And if I go to this cross member, I'm 64 3/4 of the center. We know we've got 60-inch sheets. So that means that I need to hit the center of this cross member. Basically 47.5 or 47 9/16 would be best. 47 9/16. All right, I'm going to jot that down. Okay. Now we've got out this piece of flat stock here. I think it's 2x, maybe it's 3x. It's 2 1/4, whatever it is, it's 2 1/4. Okay, so it's very important. We de-chipped that because we didn't cut the end off to make it that length. We de-chipped that. You've got to get the plasma off. Anytime that thing lifts, it will change the cut. So I've got this flush up here. We're going to do a test cut just for like maybe a 1/2 inch or 1 inch run here so I can get a new measurement. We know how wide this is. We need to know how wide the cut is. What we need to calculate for is the guide, which should be about, I think, 0.4 inches. I think. But we need to calculate for it. So we need to know what that is first. So, and it doesn't. It can be more than the guide. You can't just look up the guide because depending on how thick your piece is, will change how far away your plasma center is, based on where it's running up and down on this. So we gotta do a test piece. The reason we did that is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to cut like 6 inches in both sides, turn it. That'll get me an uncut edge that I can turn and use as a straight edge on that side, and that side will get cut, give me a straight edge to turn and use on this side. The important thing is I've got to de-chip this. I can't have anything raising it. see what we got here. That bend there, I'm gonna take that bend off. Gonna give me a much better surface, I think. Not perfect because the bend's not identical, but it's close. It's supposed to be identical, it's just a little off. I could C-clamp it on both ends and make it work. There's nothing I'm going to get that's going to be better than that, I don't think. Okay. That's bent down pretty well. Now our luck is the gap is probably not quite right. It's pushing it. It's pushing it, but if I had to move it, I'd move it only a 1/16 over. And I don't think it's worth repositioning for a 1/16. I think I'll be able to deal with it in the weld. So we're going to run it. spark into my torch. I need to make sure from now on that's on that side. That was dumb. That torch is expensive too. Okay. Well, the good thing is it's not ruining. But the bad thing is if we would have kept going, it might have been. We'll save that. That's probably the best I can do. Alright, we'll get that de-chipped and then start getting it up on the truck. So the OD measurement I gave was wall to wall. I didn't factor for the angle iron here. So I'm going to have to trim from about here up for that depth of here. And very carefully trim it from here inside the bed. I'm going to do that on both sides in order to get that to go up in there. Because this surface here should butt up to that wall. So I'm going to have to fix that next, bring the plasma torch in here and fix that next. So I wear earplugs. I'm not condoning this or not condoning this, but the theory behind the earplugs with welding with something like this is that if a spark or slag comes back, I'm not saying it won't melt my earplug, I'm just saying it gives it something to bounce off of without landing in the eardrum. So that's why if you typically see me upside down, I will have some type of plug in my ear. sorry for whoever in 20 years has to take this bed off this truck. Really sad. Alright, I don't like the gap here on this, so we're going to go up to that excavator up there. We're going to put a board, and we're going to push down further back. This has got to be right. It's not worth for one positioning or two positioning to do this wrong. So we're going to go put a little bit more tightness down on that, and we'll be back. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've got the first sheet in, and we're not going to push out the side. I think we're going to wait till last to push out the sides. And you can see it's all tacked. You can actually see the cross members from the heat. So we got that all nice and tacked in there. Stitched. Oh, I guess that's not tacked, that's stitched. And the next piece, I'm going to leave a weld gap. So from that weld down, is 55 inches, and that's going to put us a little bit past here. And I'm doing that because I want to, that split cross member, I want to be able to kind of connect it, overlap it kind of. So we've got this piece drawn out here, and we're going to get this marked at 55 inches, and then we're going to get this cut the same way that we did the other one. Okay, so we went ahead and got that tacked down, stitched down. Damn it, I need to quit saying that word. So we kind of just did the same thing. We pushed down on it. There were some spots where there was, I think the boards were spreading the weight too much and I had to actually use the bucket. But we got that stitched down. That'll be fun to gap, but I can take care of that. I think if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have welded the plates here and here and allowed it to actually do a good butt. But because I welded it, it's gonna have a gap. So we'll just have to clean up the gap with the weld. And we're gonna go ahead and take off this piece so that Isaac can work on cleaning that up. And then I'm gonna show you real quick how I plasma cut that out with the flush cut tool. So you've got an idea of that, because that's how I did the rest of the floor. And we're actually plugged into the welder, so we gotta flip that on. We gotta really try hard not to get these. It makes these plugs. We gotta try really hard not to let any of those fall through there. So Real hard time lengthening those. And this is also a really, really old drill bit, which is why I'm not really bothering with oil. Welding, and we're going to mount these light holes. We're going to drill it out first, but these are going to go right up here about yay high, and to fix that we have some flat stock 3/8 thick just to line up with this. It's not structural, but so we're going to put a piece of flat stock in here just so that it's not a weird edge at the top. And then we'll go a little bit below where this light's going to mount, so probably stop about right here. And we'll get that flat stock cut and welded, and then we'll have to drill a hole for this and drill a hole in this, and then we'll weld this in place about yay high so that we have a light up top. Alrighty. We'll work on putting the mag drill up. And then the lights and get these tacked in. Alright, so I calipered this. This is 14 gauge. I set the welder to 14 gauge. I'll kind of have to go quick on the box and hold longer on the fixed stuff. Probably. But so we've got this. This is going to kind of be our alignment. And we'll get something tacked in here. Hole, and we're gonna get a tack started there. So what I've got here are all of our triangles, and I took the length of the big square rectangle and took 2 feet off, so I put in from each side, and then I divided that by 4. So we put a measurement on our center, and that's where one of these is going to go. We actually going to use 5 of these, and then 17 inches, 17 inches each way, 17, 17. Will give us our end caps for support, and then 5 of these every 17 inches. And I think that'll work well. We came across, we measured down. We kind of did a combination of measuring from the bottom up and the top down, and pretty much figured out where we're going to have the top of the triangle set. So we need to make sure the triangles are on these lines and getting to the top spot here that we've marked, the bottom side of the top spot. And then we're going to probably use either a square or one of our magnet triangles to kind of fix our orientation this way. And pray that all's fine. So we're not going to do a full-on weld until we've got the top sheet on. It's a pain in the butt. It's going to be to weld these from upside down. It'd be way cleaner to do this, but I want to at least make sure that our plate sits on there right. What we might do is do a small stitch on each of these, set the plate on, make sure it's going to work, take the plate off, and might weld those afterwards full length, because the least amount I have to weld upside down, the happier I'm going to be. So, so we're going to get clamped up and get our mask and our gloves, and we're going to figure out how we want to make sure we can stay square this way. Okay, so this is our piece, and we'll clean it up with a grinder just to kind of make these kind of flat. It's kind of a weird shape. It got off with the plasma here a little bit. I'll have to weld that back up. But the way it sits is kind of like this. Just kind of a little bit more interesting of a shape. I like it. So we're going to go trace this back out. And then I also need to come in here with a grinder. I ran this little stitch weld too far out. And so I can't butt up against it. So I need to cut that weld back a little bit with a grinding wheel. But I'll do that after we trace out the other one. So to patch this, we're going to plasma cut this piece out here, because as you can see, the floor goes right up against this angle iron, and if we don't cut this out, then we're going to have a pretty good gap here from the floor to this. So we're going to cut out essentially just this strip here. That's going to allow us to kind of curve into this without it looking like a curve. And then we're probably going to cut here, and that's going to allow us, and we might even make a stress cut a little deep here. That's going to allow us to hit this and push the floor, or I'm sorry, the sidewall in, so that we get a real good overlay. So we're going to go ahead and we've got this marked at about 18 1/4. That's the patch we're going to make. And we're going to do it by about 13. So we got our red marks already here for our 18 we did earlier, and we're going to get in here with the plasma and cut this. So basically broke where that was welded, and so we're going to get up here behind it and pry bar. Needed to get something to get bigger. Got that there. So what we'll do now is we'll get the flap wheel, and we'll flap wheel this. We'll flap wheel this, and we'll probably flap wheel this just a little bit just to clean it up. And then we'll check our measurement again from here to the underside of this, and that'll be the height of the piece we made. And then we know that that is 13. But I always double check the measurement here after cutting, because it might not be exact. We didn't trace. So, but we'll get this flap wheel, and we'll be back. All right, so I'm just going to give one final walk around of what we've got here. So these are the patches that we put in on the back. You can see why we did it like that. And then this is the patch on this side as well. And then you can see here that we've got weld along the whole side. And then this is the front piece that we did, and it's a step down to the floor level, trying to keep in mind, you know, we don't want a lot of stuff getting stuck, and it keeps the soft edge. And then we've got the side all full length welded, and our gap all full length welded. And then we finished our welds up at the front here. So I'll show you the outside. And then there's our skirt. And it's got triangles welded underneath it. And then our painting video, you'll see that we're going to put phosphoric acid on this, and probably most of that surface scale is going to come right off. We did have the boys run the surface contour on the front of it. And we're going to be coating this with an epoxy primer and Eastwood's satin frame coating on the top coat. So that's where we ended up, and we'll make a pretty good dump bed. All right, so that concludes our video on reflooring this 60s Garwood dump bed. And as well as some finishing touches we did on patching the sides and rebuilding the skirt. So if you like videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be painting this dump bed next, as well as mounting it, so there'll be videos for that as well. So if you like the content, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of those. Thanks.